Awesome. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for joining me today on K Factor. So, would love to maybe you can tell folks a little bit about your role and a little bit about the company, a little bit of the history. Would love to hear about that to get started.
Sure, sure. So I'm the general manager. We're a privately held, family held construction materials producer in the Chicagoland area. We're in a few different lines of business, but one of our biggest businesses is ready mix concrete. And we run about 5 plants right now, all in the Chicagoland area.
And what about you? How long have you been in the concrete business?
So I've been in the business a little over 10 years.
And what is it that you love about concrete? What keeps you here 10 years later?
I do enjoy being part of the real economy, doing real work.
Right.
It's nice to have a tangible impact in the communities that you live, and seeing jobs from start to finish and have that sense of completion at the end of the day. That's nice, rather than a lot of services businesses that are pushing a lot of paper around. We're not doing that here,
Right.
and I do enjoy that part of it. There's plenty of things I don't enjoy, but that's one thing I do enjoy about it.
Dare I ask, what is it that you don't enjoy?
No, there's always a challenge in ready mix. So no 2 days are exactly the same. Some seasons rhyme a little bit, but no
Right.
2 days are the same. So it keeps it fun.
So it keeps you on your toes.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm kind of curious. You guys are new to the C60 family. Would love to hear a little bit like what first caught your attention to C60? Why look at this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we actually kind of stumbled into C60 at World of Concrete, and we had already been on I guess I'll call it a forever project of trying to better understand how our customers' behavior trickles into our P&L.
Right.
There's a lot of anecdotal stories about how customers behave, and of course that all trickles back into how you should price and what customers you should chase. But yeah, we've been on a long campaign to break customer behavior down. Not just season by season, but over long periods of time, or by job site, or by lining up customers that do very similar types of work. They might be bidding and competing on the same types of jobs, but their behavior is very different, which results in very different costs of service for us. So,
Right.
running into the C60 booth, had a great experience, and seeing how quickly you're able to capture that data and present that data. We always could get at some of it, but it took a lot of time and effort to pull all the data points out of our systems to make decisions and make comparisons. But the ease in which C60 presents that data and pulls that data out really caught our attention.
Well, how were you doing this before? Because you talked a little bit about this, it was difficult and so on. But what were the tools, or why was it difficult?
So it was always a matter of pulling data out, and then having to sort of reconstruct truck by truck what happened, and then of course we have the same truck going to multiple job sites or going through multiple plants at a given time. There was always a lot of room for gray area as to how you would measure or attribute wasted time or delay between jobs, between plants the same day. So it was pretty laborious to construct one day, let alone job site by job site or project by customer. The data was in the truck tracking programs, but it was difficult to get at and aggregate back up.
So getting to that level of granularity and precision was kind of a long-term project to continuously kind of clean the data and get it organized.
Yeah, and we would we could pull all that data to answer one question one time, and then it was such a process. We wouldn't revisit that question for many weeks or months later, because it just just took so much time to answer that question one time. It would just bog the organization down to try to stay on top of it every day or every week or every month.
Um, so you decided at that point, I guess, to give C60 a try. And I'm just curious, what were you kind of expecting, sort of day one, to get going with C60 versus, how did that actually transpire? Was it different than what you were expecting? Was it the same, better, worse?
No, it was fabulous. It was much better. We being in the Chicago area, we've got a lot of seasonality to the business. So, we've got some cold winters, some slow months. So we always kind of try to stack our projects that we think are going to be disruptive or distracting, in that kind of January, February, March timeframe. And implementation of C60, we approached like any other project where, we sort of discovered C60 in late January at the show, fully expecting it to be a multi-month effort, to onboard and understand the tool and use those winter months to grind our way through it. But it was like no other software implementation we've gone through. So it was not disruptive. It was virtually seamless. No part of the company was distracted. We didn't have to pull resources from any part of the company to get it up and running. Turnkey is a word that's abused a lot, but it was pretty turnkey. So, we went from discovering, the program, the tool in late January to using the data in March. And most of that delay was just us making the decision in February to do it. That was the longest piece of it. So it was a very pleasant experience.
I guess if you were talking to a peer in the industry and trying to manage expectations, how much of their time, well, how much of your time and frankly, the time of your team was actually spent in that onboarding process?
Yeah, I'd say, very little. I'd say the vast majority of time was actually spent making sure that we were understanding the tool and using the tool properly. There was a data validation phase that we went through, and that was, I think, mostly just for our comfort, that the data that we were seeing get pulled into the C60 program matched some of our other programs, which it did. So, we spent a little bit more time than was even necessary to just make sure that things were consistent. But, the fact that the C60 systems, pull data from existing programs, it's nothing like, some of the painful ERP implementations or a CRM stand-up that changes behavior. There really should be a different term for it, because it was not like any other software project we've gone through. It was very, very, very painless.
Now, I know you guys use, I think, a third-party IT team to support your business.
Yeah.
Did they have to get involved quite a bit, or was it relatively light touch for those folks? How did that work out?
Yeah, it was light touch for them. I understand most of their involvement was just making sure that, the C60 team had the right credentials, had the right access to the right servers, so that the program could be implemented the right way. But I'm not aware of any time they had to invest in from a troubleshooting or systems perspective. It was more just granting access and making sure everyone was pointed at the right servers.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we're certainly happy to hear that. I guess if you had to, and maybe I'm putting you on the spot here, but I guess if you had to rate kind of your overall experience, and knowing obviously nobody's perfect, right? So just in terms of the onboarding and the support you've gotten from the team, how would you rate the experience so far?
Again, the experience was much, much better than expected. I would rate it, near the top of any sort of vendor relationship we've had. It was very pleasant. Another pleasant surprise was to interact with the C60 team and realize that, they're not just the technology experts, and the analytics experts, but there's true ready-mix people there too that understand the fundamentals of the ready-mix business and speak the language. So even during the implementation process, when you're talking about the tool and you're talking about the metrics, they they know the business. This isn't a software project. This is people who've been there and lived it and understand the business, which made it even more valuable. So top to bottom, it's been a great experience, and we're looking forward to the future.
Awesome. One of the things I'm always curious about is, looking at your business and, uncovering insights, and hopefully, the goal is to help you in the way you run your business. Can you tell me a little bit about what are some of the dashboards or the insight areas that you're looking to explore, or that you're most excited to explore, and what you're hoping to get out of it?
Yeah, for sure. So, we're still a little early. We've spent most of our time, looking at the customer cost of service, some of those, which is what caught our eye at the very beginning. We're just getting into some of the dashboards that speak to some of the other efficiencies around, the production efficiency type dashboards. But what I'm really looking forward to is taking the next step with C60 and connecting our our pricing and our raw material cost data, so that we're actually getting all the way from a customer cost of service or a productivity view all the way to a gross margin perspective,
Right.
by customer, by job. So there's understanding the productivity, but then there's tying it all the way back and getting those extras, or minimum loads, or waiting times considered, making sure all the factors were taken care of, so that on any given day I can come in and look at the dashboard and understand the day before, and if there was some inefficiency there, making sure that it was covered on the pricing side, and the gross margin held. So very much looking forward to those dashboards as those go online.
And I guess, going forward, what advice would you have to other producers that are thinking about, using analytics or data in their business, or even, that are having conversations with C60? What advice would you give them about this journey?
I think the biggest takeaway, I think the single best piece of advice I could give is, don't wait. It's not like other software nightmares you may have gone through. We're very fortunate that we found the program and we moved on it quickly. I think if we would have discovered it in summertime, I may have waited until winter. But it was not disruptive. It did not distract the teams at all. It really is additive, and it pulls data that you already have and just makes it actionable. So no reason to wait for a downtime. I would say move on it.
And Jeff, I guess as we wrap up, anything you'd like to share in terms of, what we should make sure is still on our North Star as a company, and we stay focused and make sure that we continue to deliver. Any advice you could share for us that we could use to build from?
I just think the collaborative approach your team the team takes. I think we were blown away, during the implementation, when we had, what we thought were, helpful suggestions turned into real features. That was very impressive, that the team was looking to improve and adapt, and continuously make the tool better and better and better. So I'm sure the more mature the product gets and the more dashboards that roll out, there'll be fewer opportunities for that. But that type of collaborative approach means the world to us.
Well, you guys have been an awesome partner, and we're really excited that you're part of the family. So thank you for taking time and giving us this feedback. We really, really appreciate it.
No, we do too. We're looking forward to a long relationship together. Thanks for everything.